Buy now, pay never. Klarna. They really should have seen this coming. Klarna has a ton of losses because people bought it and they're not paying it later. It'd be one thing to buy something and borrow money for like a house, a car. But when they started encouraging people, and people who were underage at that, to borrow.
That right there is the reason why I think a lot of people are in debt right now. Is that after they already borrowed the money, they refuse to pay it back because they realize that they can't. As they were trying to make the purchase, and they have the option to choose Klarna or whatever, like any type of afterpay service, that should be your first sign that you can actually pay this off. But they still go into it anyway. And what she said, a lot of the sentiments that a lot of people have when it comes to paying back what they actually owe is that they blame the company for giving them a loan or trusting them enough to give them a loan, and when it comes time to pay them back, somehow the way that they were presented with the option, it was predatory. So it's almost like they label it predatory in order to get a justification. Listen, with anything in life, whether it be student loans, whether it be you owe your dad some money, whether you owe your boyfriend with some money, anything that you get, there's usually some form of repercussion on the other hand. Even if you don't really think about it in the moment, there's usually that. To say that you're going to take out loans and because you don't feel like paying them back, you're somehow entitled to just get away with it. And now Klarna, a lot of these companies are realizing that the gold mine that they stumbled upon, which is that they made a model of lending out money, and the way they profit is that some people might miss some payments. But if the person who is responsible, who is taking out a loan, they don't make money off of them. A lot of these lending companies, they do not make money off people who are responsible. It's the people who are not responsible and have poor impulse control. It is what it is.
Borrow money for things like beauty product, a coffee. Really could have seen the writing on the wall. As a consumer, don't play yourself in your credit by buying something that you can't afford. Because when you miss...
That's fair. I agree with that. But to blame it on Klarna for your current position, not realizing some of the steps you actually took to be in that position, is a little bit unfair and disingenuous. You initiated. You at any point during the purchase could have decided not to do the purchase, but you did it anyway. And because you made that decision, your decisions have some consequences. Now, depending on how big of a mistake or decision that you made, the consequences may vary. But you are the one that made that decision. It will be a different case if your mom just took up your credit card and just put a whole bunch of loans on your credit card without your consent. And that would be a betrayal, right? But let's take some form of responsibility here. You knew what you were getting into, and a lot of us knew, a lot of people knew what they were getting into when they were taking out the loans. It's just that now I feel like a lot of people can't wait. Before these options were available to us, we had to actually save up and pay for that item. And I feel like the payoff was a lot better versus getting it instantaneously, because you feel as if you earned it and there is some form of personal attachment to it. So when you get the thing that you wanted so bad and you save for so many years or whatever period of time, the payoff is a lot better. The experience is a lot better. So if you can't afford it, please don't put it on a credit card. Please don't put it on a debit card. Or please, for the love of God, do not put a pizza and split it up into 4 payments on Afterpay. Because if you can't do that, if you can't pay for $30, I think you have more problems than buying that pizza. That's just my opinion, but you can do whatever you want.
I am going to hold your hand when I say this. Afterpay, Klarna, ZipPay, and all those buy now later platforms are not your friends. They do not have your best interest in heart. They're companies that are designed to pry and profit off your spending habits, off late payment fees.
Again, she's not innately wrong. And I'm not defending Klarna. It's a business, it's a corporation. And because it's a business, they have to make profits. I'm pretty sure if there was another way that they decided to, how they make their money, people would always find something to like criticize about it. Oh, it's too predatory. Oh, they don't disclose enough information. I mean, if you really think about it, if they disclose everything about how it works, and let's be honest here, it is very clear up front. You go on Amazon or any site that you of your choosing. The option is you split up the payment to 4 installments, interest free, right? If you miss a payment, interest is applied. Just like if you don't go to class, you pay for a degree. You don't go to class, you fail a class. The penalty is you don't get your degree. It's the same thing. You live in an area where you have to pay rent, and your landlord expects the first of the month his payment. You can't go to your landlord and say, hey, I don't feel like paying you, because the way you phrased the lease is predatory. That doesn't make any sense. Please, that doesn't make any sense. Apply this logic to any other lending in your life. You lend somebody some money, they don't pay you back. You feel some type of way because you slaved for that money. And they're going to disrespect you by not paying it back, even though they told you they're going to pay it back. So, I think it's a lot of people, they void themselves of responsibility because it's a corporation. It doesn't really have a face, and therefore it doesn't really have any emotion. And so, because it doesn't, they dehumanize it. A lot of the logic that we would apply to alone in terms of like personal relationship, we don't really see it the same way, if that makes any type of sense. But pay your loans. You owe somebody, pay them back. It's the right thing to do, unless they did you wrong. That's a different story. But pay your loans, all right? And not to mention these things that really affect your credit. So pay them off. If you can't afford it, delay your gratification, and then see what you can do when you save the money up. That's it. That's all. Bye-bye.